So, 2010 BMW 535 N54. It has a very bad engine knock. It kind of felt like it was in this area here. We took the valve cover out, but there's nothing on it. Everything looks fine, so we took the filter out and it's a gold mine. So basically the crankshaft is done for it. So I'm gonna have to look for a used engine for this. The car has about 170,000 miles, so it lasted quite a while. And then looked at the oil. Looks like it's never been changed. It's like darker than a diesel oil, which is, yeah, it's not good. So these engines, they're super delicate. Make sure you change your oil on time. So pretty much, I'm just gonna put the car back together and wait for the customer to make a decision if they want to fix it or put it back to, like sell it as is. So this is it for this one, I guess. Something I want to point out, that it happened to me many times. When you loosen this nut, this one goes underneath the intake. So if this goes all the way underneath here, it's gonna end up going next to the fuel pump. What I do, I just put a zip tie right here so it never falls over. And this is the same thing for the N55 engines. And sometime it happened to me, like I said, I had to pull the intake out to get it bolt out. So something to keep in mind.
Going fishing for a bolt. I'm doing a PCV valve on a 2016 Q5. I'm going back in right now. I already have the new PCV valve in. I ran into an issue, so before I put everything back together, once you have the PCV on, you got all the coolant passages closed pretty much except for the two coolant hoses that go into the supercharger. But I just got a piece of rubber hose and just connected those two, filled it up with a little bit of coolant, pressurized it, before I put everything back on to make sure all the leaks are good. And I noticed on this plastic pipe right here, on the old piece, there was just a little micro crack right here where a little bit of coolant was just coming out. And so I let Johnny know, and thankfully the dealer had one in stock, so I just ran and got it. Now I'm going back in with it and I can finally finish this PCV job. So you can't really see it on camera because it's such a tiny crack, but just kind of right here where this piece of plastic is jetting out, that's where that little micro crack is, and it's just ever so slightly dripping out of there. But still, you don't want to go ahead and put the supercharger back on, put all the fuel lines back on, and then pressurize it and then realize, oh, I got to take all that stuff off again for this. So it's always good to check your work before you go all the way back together, so you're not wasting time.
So this is the next vehicle we're going to work on. This one is a 2014 X5 with a 6-cylinder N55 and has about 115,000 miles. So about 2 months ago, I had a similar issue where it will drain the battery within 2 hours, and it has a 5 amp draw. So 2 months ago, it took me 2-3 days to figure out, long story short, that the water pump was draining the battery. The water pump on those is so quiet you cannot even hear it running, but within 2 hours the battery is like flat dead, like gone. Same thing happened to this car, and since I remember from last time, I went straight for the water pump, took the cap out, and with no ignition or nothing, it's just circulating antifreeze. And then when you touch the water pump, it's like really hot. 2 months ago, when I called BMW, they were on back order, so called LKQ. They only had the used one, shipped it, put it on the car. The car still drives great today. But after 2 months, we got a brand new one from BMW. So this customer is lucky. So we're gonna install a brand new water pump for them, and then that should take care of the battery drain. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna change the oil real quick, do a brake fluid flush, and then that's it. Brand new. Hopefully they updated the issue. It's cold now, but it used to be really, really hot. Okay, I guess this is it. It's pretty straightforward on this. So we got to put some coolant, put some oil. Don't forget oil, very important. And then we move on to the next car. We do agree they're ugly wheels, right? They're very ugly. No, just to clarify, I mean, they're not ugly as a design, they just do not look good on this BMW. But that's my opinion. I mean, we can agree to disagree.
This little vacuum line that hooks into the air intake hose, this thing is just broke off. So we're just gonna plastic weld it, just melt some plastic basically and stick it back in there.
Car number 3, I guess, for today is going to be a 2005. I love this car to death. This is... So we're going to put a belt and a accelerator sensor, because once in a while it loses. It doesn't even know where the gas pedal is. So the car goes crazy, so we're going to change that. But let's just put a belt first. It had a tiny oil leak that I just fixed. Looks really good. And after this, we go to the next one. Very easy, very, very easy. Like that, the belt is done. So in case you're wondering if there is a non-German car in the back, it's my shop, I can do whatever I want to. It's a good friend of mine. We're just doing him a favor. It's a brake line just bursted unexpectedly, so Rich is changing a brake line for him. So it's a really, really good friend of mine, so that's why. As I mentioned earlier, this is the sensor for the gas pedal. So basically, when you move the gas pedal, this one moves, sending the data to the computer and telling the car to how much the throttle will open. So this one is pretty much sitting next to the steering wheel on top, so I can see one screw but I cannot see the other. It's gonna be fun. The bottom screw is easy because it's right there, but the top I cannot even wrap my hands around it. This one is being way harder than I thought, just because there is one upper screw I cannot get to. So next I'm going to try dropping the steering column, and that will give me much more room. Or I could take the instrument cluster out and go from behind the instrument cluster. But I'd rather take the steering column. I mean, I'm already halfway there, so. Looks like the harder screw to get to, I got it out after crawling underneath. And this is just for the freaking M5s like this. Like starting in 01, they start putting them, like incorporating them into the gas pedal, which is freaking slides right out. Woo! I'm getting old. I'm not as flexible as I used to. Whew. Well, time to go back. I still have it fresh. So this is it for this. I mean, all I have to do is just put those two covers back and then ship it. If something happens, coming back next week, I'll have a bonfire with this, so we'll burn it down if he doesn't fix it. So luckily the guy is a good friend of mine, so he won't mind. Just kidding, it's already fixed. So thank you so much for watching.